Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Trump administration is sending troops to the southern border and holding immigrants at Guantanamo, redirecting active duty military personnel from critical missions and costing taxpayers several times more than when DHS does the same job. That seems to be bad for national security, bad for our military families, and bad for America's bottom line. We've seen this before. When the first Trump administration deployed troops to the border, it pegged the cost at $1 billion over 3 years. But the GAO found that the Department of Defense estimates were, quote, not reliable and excluded, quote, significant costs. DoD reports to Congress missed more than half the actual total cost for entire fiscal years. So GAO made 7 detailed recommendations for the Department of Defense to improve its cost estimates, but 4 years later, the Department of Defense has not executed a single one. Now, DoD estimates that this new border deployment will cost almost $1 billion over the next 8 months, but that may be another underestimate. So, General Guillot, you are overseeing the border deployment. Does underestimating the costs of an operation put future missions and future readiness at risk?
Senator, I would assume so, but I think I need to point out that NORTHCOM has not appropriated funds for the southwest border, and we've never had reprogramming or pass-through funding. This is all done through the Department Comptroller and the services.
I appreciate that, but I'm asking the question about running past the limits and the consequences of that, because the money has to come from somewhere, and I'm concerned that we're going to see the same problem that we saw the last time. Big costs and little transparency and accountability. When DoD has been tasked with doing DHS's job, it has cost taxpayers a lot more money. It costs 3 times more to deport migrants on military aircraft than civilian planes that ICE often uses, and has cost ICE at least 5 times more per detention bed to hold migrants at Guantanamo Naval Base than at facilities in the United States. Anytime civilian authorities ask DoD for help, DoD is supposed to evaluate the request based on 6 criteria, including cost. But we don't even have a cost estimate for the new Guantanamo operations. So, Admiral Holsey, what do you expect the budgetary cost of SOUTHCOM's Guantanamo operations will be through the end of this fiscal year?
Senator, we're new into the process right now. We surged emergency assets down there to start building out the camp. It's a phased approach, so it's not automatically going up to 30,000. So right now,
so you're telling me you actually don't know the cost yet?
Not at this point, ma'am.
Not at this point. So the decision to deploy DoD personnel and assets was made without knowing the cost, which is exactly what DoD is supposed to consider in making the decision to deploy. Will you at least commit to provide that estimate to Congress as soon as you have it?
Yes, Senator.
All right.
Yes, Senator. I will work with the OSD and DoD to get that to you.
All right. I will hold you to that. I'm relying on both of you also to tell us if DoD blows past whatever estimates you give us. Given the potentially astronomical costs, will you commit to informing this committee if you determine that these operations are not militarily effective?
Yes, Senator.
All right. You know, we need to know if the operations are having an unmanageable impact on readiness and morale. Political stunts like this can easily damage troop morale. Many Texas National Guard members who deployed to the southern border have felt isolated, without purpose, and some have even committed suicide. I think it is important that we have better oversight over these plans and that we make these plans conform to the law. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.